Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Awakened Negan, who is going to be the very first Awakened character coming to the game. I will preview Awakened characters as if they are brand new characters, so I'll go over everything as I would in a normal preview. Now obviously we've had this Negan in the game before because he is an Awakened character. The visuals haven't changed as of yet. This can potentially change in the future, but with Awakenings we get to see the character that we haven't seen for a little while, and some of those older visuals are still really good. I think Negan's is fairly basic, but I do like it. Obviously a little bit of a nod to part of the storyline with the little bit on the back and so on and so forth, but yeah, pretty cool. Now if we check out Negan's stats as an LB3 Awakened character, level 1440, his stats have been boosted up to 35,276 attack, 19,402 defense, and 33,511 HP. He is a strong character still, of course. He's going to still be a damage roll character, of course going to be a Gold Mythic character, and he's going to, of course, still remain part of the Saviors. Now with those boosted stats he could become more viable as like Faction Assault, as there is a Faction Assault boss that requires the Saviors, so this is just a little added bonus if you needed him. Now first up we'll look at Negan's Adrenaline Rush, and it is called Brute Force. It's a 66 AP cost rush. It now deals 2 attacks of 400% damage, 800% total to one enemy. 2 other enemies take 50% of this fighter's max HP as main damage. The original damage this did was closer to half of this damage, so obviously a nice little boost here. It will deal attacks, so these can crit. Crit multiplier will work. Crit multiplier set will work if you want to. And obviously because he is still going to be an attack leader, he should get pretty good bonuses from teams with lots of 1535s in it, which is actually pretty good as well. The main damage is a little bit risky against certain teams, so you have to be careful when it comes to using this Adrenaline Rush, just because obviously if it hits a payback, it can potentially proc that specialist skill. Okay, so here we are attacking, and we have got the Adrenaline Rush of Negan. I'm going to focus the person who has the Bodyguard specialist skill, because Bodyguard could obviously block the attacks of whoever I do it to. I might as well attack this guy. We're going to do the 2 attacks. We are going to proc the payback. Here comes the first attack and the second attack. It was reasonably decent hits there, but as you can see, we did proc the payback onto Jesus. My team did survive, so if I have potentially got something like camouflage on my team, I should be okay, because you can see Negan's HP is actually pretty high compared to his teammates, and this is because of other parts of his kit. So he has a little bit of anti-payback potential if he can survive the initial hit. Now we can just look at the upgrades. I won't go over them because when you claim an Awakened fighter, they are fully maxed out. So all of this is going to be LB3 instantly. You're going to get the rush to the maximum potential instantly, and the rush is actually pretty nice. I like the rush a bit. You have to make sure you set out properly though. That main can be problematic. If you don't take out the target that you're attacking with those attacks, the main can actually hit them too, so you know you can take them down with that. And you did see, I think it did main damage to Jesus and to I think it was Davey. A little bit of lower max HP can be pretty useful against these high HP characters. So yeah, just like we said, be aware of that payback potential for sure. Now Negan obviously can utilize a lot of different things with his weapon. He can utilize things like stun on attack, which he will be able to proc with those individual attacks. Anything else that comes out that is based on him attacking, critting, so on and so forth, he can obviously utilize that as well. So yeah, the rush not too bad. It does pretty decent damage potentially, and this guy's going to have pretty high attack stat just because, like I said, he is going to be an attack leader. Now next up we're going to check out Awakened Negan's signature move, and it is called Toxic Brutality. It has got an initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited. Attack an enemy for 350% damage. One other enemy gets 101% infection for 2 turns. I believe this has been boosted quite a bit, the actual initial hit, plus the infection is much higher too. I like the idea of 101% infection, because I've had a couple of times where characters just sat there on like 2-3%, you know, 1%, and this is going to sort of like counter that extra 1%. just a little bit of fun there. It is a bit of a weird one though, because it's another enemy getting infection. If there's only one character alive, this is just going to be a single target hit. It can obviously crit, just like the Adrenaline Rush, so, you know, crit multiplier damage, you know, crit set, so on and so forth, and his combat mods seems to be like the way to go on Negan here. So we can start things off on turn 1, and then I can select a character. If we do the signature move, we'll obviously do some damage, and it can be pretty decent, because obviously his rush hits for 400% twice, his signature move hits for 350%, so it is almost one of those hits of his rush. And you can see, while he took the character out, one other character has been infected, and it's actually a pretty good character to get infected in this case. It's going to be Roland in the top right hand corner, someone who can be very tanky and very hard to take down because of all the reflect stuff. So yeah, infection is pretty nice. There aren't too many characters at the moment that have infection, so maybe this is a little potential for infection to have a little bit of a comeback. But yeah, I always did like this signature move. I used it in Conquest quite a lot in the early days, just because of the, obviously, infection was good to bypass those heavy stat characters. And it's going to be pretty much the same dealio here. High stat characters on defense teams right now. Infection is going to be pretty good. 101% is going to be obviously pretty hard to heal. Now, coming into the upgrades on the Toxic Brutality signature move, same dealio. He is going to be fully maxed when you claim him as an Awakened character, but this is where the upgrades would come in. I like this signature move, again, quite a lot. It's going to be pretty reasonable damage. 350% is not too bad when you can crit that attack. And if he comes up against fast characters with attack versus fast, all the good stuff, 1535s all around him. He can even include, you know, have the improved 1535 weapon, the Shane's weapon. He can have it so that it does bonus damage against characters based on their HP. So he can definitely do quite a lot of damage here. Or you can use him as more of like a support character where he's going to be doing the infection, so on and so forth, with this particular signature move. And there are going to be other things within his passives that actually give him boost from infection, which is actually kind of cool. Yeah, so I think the signature move is quite nice. It scales basically as you want it to. Higher attack, more crit damage, the more damage this is going to do. It is always as simple as that with crit attacks. Okay, so next up we're going to check out Negan's mythic abilities. These are his passive skills, of course. First up, he's going to have agility because he is a damage roll character. Nothing's changed there. He's going to do a 20% increased basic attack damage when doing the signature move and the rush, and of course his basic attacks. He's going to amplify absolute everything. Now, he has still got the passive bulky. I wouldn't say this is amazing, but it is where it is. He's going to obviously have more HP. He's going to be harder to take down. He's not going to be as focused as much, but that's why he's having a pretty good survivability against these payback attacks as well, because his base HP is quite high, plus the 30% bonus that he's going to be getting on top. Next up is Sadistic Killer. Whenever an enemy dies with an infection status, this fighter gets 60 AP. That's flat AP, nearly hit a full adrenaline rush, and he obviously applies infection himself. He will obviously work with other infection characters. If we get a character that has infection off of turn 1, which there are some on defense teams, you can cheese them on attack. You could get him to rush turn 2 naturally pretty much, which is actually really, really good. And lastly, Negan has another passive called Brutalize, and this one's new. When attacking, 100% chance to apply bonus HP block for 2 turns. This is interesting and could be really good against countering certain characters, let's say like Nor. In a situation where Nor's the last character alive, it can be a bit annoying when she just gets massive amounts of bonus HP. That would no longer happen with Negan. That is actually really interesting now. Okay, so we're going to start turn 1, and we have got some infections on the defense team. I'm hoping that Nor's heal's going to go to the person with 50% infection, so that the person with 25% just instantly gets taken out. I'm going to defend on Negan here, and we hopefully are going to gain 60 AP because we have got 6 AP from an 8% weapon. I'll hit the defend action. The heal did in fact go to that character. The bottom left hand corner character should get taken out, and I'll get 60 AP for a turn 2 natural rush in this situation. This will occur every time someone gets taken out by infection. This is really, really nice indeed. Then I can adrenaline rush. Now, if I adrenaline rush the central character, I don't think we'll take her out because she's so stat heavy. But what you'll see is she's got a debuff on her, as you can see. It's going to be bonus HP reduction. There you go. She's not going to be able to get bonus HP. So let's just take out this last character. Normally she would self-heal right now because of her passive, where she heals 70%, I think, at the beginning of every turn. And then she would overheal with the bonus HP, but she can't do that right now. She actually can't do that. So I'll just defend again, and we'll have the same situation occur, where she can't heal herself with the bonus HP. So if she was getting to 100% HP, max HP, she would not be able to get any bonus HP. This is actually really nice, not just against Nor, but a lot of other characters too. So again, just like everything else, on Awakened Negan, everything comes maxed out straight away. All these passives already maxed out. Sometimes, like I said in my preview video for Awakened, there may be a passive that you need to max out yourself. Scopely should reimburse you the actual resources to do this. This is because some of these newer characters, when they become Awakened, have more passives than they did when they were actually an OG character, and it's just how, unfortunately, part of the system works. But if there's any issue like that, I'm sure Scopely will come out with the info when it comes to future characters when they get awakened. Now, I think these passives are quite nice, especially the bonus HP block, which is obviously a new one for Negan here. Is very nice indeed. I think the original one that he had was he has a chance to do main damage instead. This actually had a negative where if it did actually proc, he couldn't stun with that attack. You can't stun main attacks. So it did limit the kind of weapons he could use. It also limited the fact that he couldn't use like things that took advantage of crit and crit multiplier when those main attacks went off. So this way it's just more a bit streamlined to actually working how the character should, which is good because you obviously you can look at his character in hindsight when you're developing a character and say, hey, this actually didn't work as well as we hoped. And that's kind of what Scopely can do. They can kind of realign the character to make him a bit more decent, and he is very much better character when it comes to how he is as an individual character compared to how he was. But obviously he's got increased stats and increased percentage damage on all those hits as well. So yeah, overall I'm liking what I'm seeing on Negan, and I think he should be quite a useful attack leader, particularly because of that leader skill. And the leader skill is as follows. All teammates get 40% attack and gain focus for 3 turns at the start of the battle. Pretty straightforward. It's only a small boost, 25% attack up to 40% attack. And obviously the focus remains. The focus is a big part of it. And it's going to be quite useful with the buffs to shields. Shields obviously going to be shielding off of turn 1. So having someone who can focus and bypass those shields early is good. But obviously there will be potential downsides to this. There are characters that give negatives based on you getting focus, so it's kind of like a non-stop back and forth counter situation when it comes to this sort of thing. But yeah, it is worth noting that this can be used against those human shields to bypass in turn 1. Now, as a bonus addition, Awakened Negan actually has a special weapon that is brand new. The original didn't have a special weapon like this. It had one of the original weapons attached that weren't very good for Mythics. This is actually going to be nice, and this opens the door for future Awakened characters to actually have pretty decent weapons added too, especially those OG characters like Negan, who just didn't have very good weapons at all, unfortunately. If we look at it, it's called Awakened Savage Lucille. It has got 40% attack base, a huge bonus to AP when attacking, stun on attack when attacking a target. This fighter has a 50% chance to stun that target for 1 turn. And then last one has improved magnified strikes when attacking, 100% attack against enemies who are stunned. So you can obviously increase this to 50% attack and then replace the last one with 1535, or increase it to 55% attack and utilize this if you're not using Negan as a leader but as a secondary character. Maybe not, actually recommended to do that, but that last slot is not fantastic for him as a leader, because 1535 is generally better to give overall stats to an attack team. But visually the weapon does look nice. It'll be worth it on road maps and so on and so forth no matter what. You don't necessarily have to use 1535s on road maps. The improved magnified strikes will be actually pretty decent off of base. If you know how Raven works, Negan's going to get pretty much the same buff with this full slot. So that's it, a little quick preview of Gold Mythic Awakened Negan. I don't have to go into as much detail on these characters because there's no need to look at how the skills evolve on the upgrades to see what grades is good to get this character up to. This character is always going to be LB3. Awakened characters will always be LB3, max level. You'll get all the good stats, you'll get all the good upgrades, which is absolutely fantastic. And they, of course, generally speaking, should be always better than the original versions, especially if they go to proper OG characters like Negan. And that is obviously great that Negan's part of the progression missions as well, so he's going to be quite accessible for people when it comes to getting his versions, to get him awakened. Great for new players in terms of having something to aim for, something for me to actually tell a new player when they say to me, what should I do? I'll tell them, try and get Negan awakened. He's a good character, he's a leader, and he'll be pretty good for you on attack teams long term. That is something that you should be able to tell a new player, and there isn't too many areas of the game where you can do that, but it looks like this particular character and Awakened going forward potentially could be that place. Do tell me what you think about the upgrades to Negan in his Awakened version. Let me know in the comments down below. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.